What if, what if Dr. King never saw the mountaintop? What if he never dreamt the dream? So I'm going to take a few minutes of your time this morning to talk about a great American who, by no doubt in my mind, was sent by a higher calling to do a specific work here in this place. Specifically, I want to look at his ability to dream, his ability to visualize, inspire, and motivate, his ability to influence the entire world. But I want to examine it from a perspective of how Dr. King's vision affects you and I today. Dr. King was a household name during his time. Before it could be tweeted on Twitter, without the likes of a television, before someone could run and tell it on Facebook or share it on Instagram, his messages were being shared before they could become snapped on somebody's chat. He was well-renowned. The vision he saw from the mountaintop had to be inspired by a higher power, because news of his vision made it all around the world by word of mouth. And many of us cannot fathom the thought of that. He was as popular, if not more popular, than today's Jay-Z and Beyonce, or Justin Bieber, before there were records to be recorded or videos to be shot. He was talked about like the Games of Thrones or the final episodes of Sons of Anarchy. In every household and around every office break room, he was discussed like the next season of American Idol, Breaking Bad, and Empire all at once. He was definitely special. And in the words of Muhammad Ali, he said he was a bad man, as in a great man. And to be great, he had to walk into his destiny. So to many of you, I ask the question of, have you ever thought about your destiny and the sacrifices required of you? Hold that thought for a second. Have you ever stopped to think about the tell-all in one of Dr. King's final speeches? I've been to the mountaintop, given on 3 April 1968. He says in that speech, and I quote, "Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead," he says. "But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. And I don't mind," he says. "Like anybody, I would like to live a long life." He says longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, he says, but I want you all to know tonight that we as a people will get to that promised land. And he says, I'm so happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man, because mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Those words, my friends, are the most important words that Dr. King ever spoke to me. You see, with death imminent and looming all around from the tone of the closing of that speech, he stared death right into the face. And he said, "Give me your best shot," in so many words. He is quoted as saying, "I'm not worried about anything, and I'm not fearing any man," with his closest advisors telling him not to go down to Memphis. He went on that journey to Memphis anyway, because I believe he knew he had a date with destiny at the appointed hour. But all the way up until that appointed hour, he stood firm in his vision. He stood firm in the fact that he had a dream that one day little black boys and girls would one day play with little white boys and girls in harmony and in brotherhood. He was at peace with what was to happen and what would be his final hours, looking out from a mountaintop and smiling with a certain confidence that the world would be the way that it is today in 2016. I declare that somebody inside this room right now ought to be happy. I believe our Creator allowed him to get up right against the very edge of that